Good evening. You are listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. Alongside me tonight is RDV from the Great Midwest and a young 20-something millennial, Pixel Loomis, aka Professor Pixel. Tonight, we are covering the second in the re-image trilogy of Halloween, Halloween Kills.
Yes.
It's a very divisive film. You see that on social media today. I think a lot of that's from younger people that predominantly dominate social media. I, being a lifelong John Carpenter fan, Halloween fan, I feel very strongly about this film. But what I wanted to do was go around the horn and just get our quick initial impressions about this film, and then we're going to dive deep into some of these scenes and talk about what worked, what didn't, what we liked, what we didn't. So let's go around the horn. RDV, let's go first. What are your quick thoughts on this movie?
Um, it's kind of hard to compare it to the other ones because even the original ones, the sequels, there were some that were good and there were some that were bad. I'm always the person that, like, man, I don't want to watch a lot of horror movies because a lot of times, 90% everyone dies. There's really you're just watching people just get murdered. I guess that's the thing
You're
for
not
people.
a gore guy.
No, I'm more a story guy. Gore's good, but you gotta have a good story. If the story is just the same where the bad guy always wins, it's just disheartening.
If I had my Twin Peaks coffee mug that I could rewrite over, I might send it to you and it would say story, not gory.
But overall, though, I'm always confused because they always made Jason or not Jason, but Michael Myers always be out to is he a supernatural being? Obviously, because he's taken multiple gunshots, or is he just a human? Hopped up on something. Where he's just wired differently so he can survive multiple bullets.
In Florida, that would be Flocka. But yes, that is a very major point to this movie that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, because even in this movie here, because the first one, 2018 reboot, they said he was just a mental patient. He wasn't a supernatural being character. So this movie, when I went to watch this one, I was like, okay, it starts off where the guy's like, oh yeah, I shot him a couple times. I'm like, how is he still alive? Like, honestly, anybody else, unless he's wearing Kevlar vests, that's the only. But they don't mention that though.
Well, we'll get into it because the lack of a lot of things in this movie will explain.
But overall, I said it's an average movie. It's nothing to get excited about.
Okay. Pixel, what about you?
I am on the opposite side. So,
what's opposite of average?
I mean,
on average.
I mean, on the level that this, I think that this movie is absolutely a bridge in the trilogy. So you have Halloween, and the previous movie was great. I loved it, and it just all the callbacks to the original. This one decides to bring us to that night again. Whenever we go through the first thing, we're taken back to Haddonfield during the first movie, and they show them catch Michael Myers because Halloween 2 has been written out of continuity. So all those Halloween movies are gone. And so they're rewriting that night because they catch him then, and he stays in prison until 2018. And this is continuing that night. So it's a bridge between the previous movie and the last movie of this trilogy. And I just thought it was a good journey because that's what this is. It doesn't have that final hit because it's not a finale. Whereas the first movie ended and you felt like, okay, this was good. This feels like it's ending. How are they going to keep this going? And while I can tell from the vibe that people did not like this one to transition into the last one, I did. I enjoyed it. I loved the kills that were there. I loved bringing back old characters, and to show Michael Myers breaking the original mold it's a choice, and I liked it. I liked seeing him in the beginning. He takes on a bunch of firefighters, and just how he's able to just go through them after getting out and using them to pull himself out of the house. It's awesome. And that's where I'll stop.
I'll just say this real quickly. If this is supposed to be the middle of a trilogy, I thought the middle is supposed to be like the meat and potatoes. If it's just like, it feels like it's going in the same direction as the new Star Wars movies.
Well, let me say this.
Like starts off good, and then you get like a nothing in the middle, and then like, is the ending going to be like fantastic, make up for this?
Yeah, and I think what you're saying to RDV is important, because to me, we can say whatever we want about this being the second movie, and with COVID and everything that's been going on in the economy here in the United States, we understand that there's this pent-up demand to see movies and get outside and do things. And of course, this was streaming on the Cock, and what better place to see a movie than on the Cock?
That's my complaint. They should have had more faith not to put this on Peacock and just basically just put this in theaters only. Because the only way to watch a horror movie is in theaters.
Well, I have an issue with this film, and actually tons of issues with it, because unlike James Bond, the most recent movie, which is one of the worst in the Bond franchise, at least there were some interesting, I think, attempts in there. And Pixel, the only saving grace I'll give you as far as you supporting the film and what you said is that there were definitely a few choices made in this film, and you could argue that they may be bold and that decided to go there. And I think they had the opposite effect. They did not work. And for me, I think this movie is probably one of the worst in the entire Halloween franchise for a lot of reasons. One, we've given a pass to saying, well, it's a horror movie, that people are going to be stupid, we don't care. Oh, it's a horror movie, we don't care if they're having sex, they're going to die, and all these things, and we laugh it off, we don't take it serious. The fundamental flaw to this movie is, despite all the stuff that's going on and the fact that's been shot years ago, is they didn't go back, clean it up, or do anything. And I heard that the ending was reshot or whatever, or not included in the script because of potential leaks. And I don't mind that a lot of people died in this film, and I think there was actually, to use your point, Pixel, some creative kills. I don't watch a horror movie for creative killing. I don't. Not a movie that's supposed to be good and supposed to have positive things going for it, which leads me to the biggest issue that I have with this movie. It's the characters, and it means the writing. This is not Michael Myers. This is not how Michael Myers would act. This is not how Michael Myers would kill. While he may look physically great, the way he moved and all that, and we'll go into some of the scenes here to illustrate these points, none of the characters were likable in the first film for the most part. And even though they brought back in Tommy Doyle and Lindsay, which I thought was an interesting idea, I might be one of the few people that didn't mind Tommy Doyle being played by what's-his-face. This movie spends the entire third of it, in the middle of it, dealing with a massive head fake that we as the audience know, with a second escaped inmate, and this whole mob mentality thing that they're getting at in the Haddonfield hospital is a complete joke. So while there's the potential setup for some interesting, what I would call, scenes, they almost spectacularly fail. Even the firefighter scene that looks like it would have some incredible shots through the visor of the guy that's tipped on its side while he's killing, he's turned into Jason, and he ninja styles his way through it, because everybody goes on him one-on-one, and half the time you can't even see it. It's such a choppy edited mess.
I didn't understand the whole firefighter thing. Like, obviously he was burned, left the burn in the house from the previous episode. Movie.
That's where it almost starts, because you know that, okay, he was trapped inside this incredible designed kill zone, right, in the basement. So how does he get out? And I don't even have a problem with the firefighter going through and falling through the bottom and going for Mayday. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But when they show the metal slide go up and he just walks up from underneath it, I'm like, really? You kidding me? And I didn't mind him actually taking the hand of the other firefighter, like pulling him down or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's how he's going to get out or whatever. But him going one-on-one, coming out of there with everybody, even though you saw all like in a big mob with all their different axes and everything else the firefighter has, while that looks cool and you're like, oh, hell yeah, these guys are going to go to town on it, it's not the right thing. Michael Myers is a stalker. He's not supposed to go head on head with a whole bunch of them. He didn't in the opening prologue either, too, when he got arrested. And they shifted the fact that the one dude accidentally shot his partner and everything else there, too. It makes absolutely no sense, and that's the choice they wanted to go to retcon it. And it was tough. The editing wasn't very good there at the beginning. Go ahead.
I will say this, so I thought that was kind of weird to be him going, like, taking out the firefighters one by one with the crowbar and stuff. Because usually he'd be like, people attack him and he just kind of like just deflects it or takes the hits or gets away. And he comes from behind, kills. He doesn't go like straight and just like, I'm unstoppable.
That's why he's the boogeyman. He lives in the shadows.
Because that is Jason. Jason usually with the machete or stuff, he takes a couple of hits to the head. He gets back up because he's a supernatural being. But for Michael Myers, like that's why I was so confused. I'm like, is he supposed to be a human or is he supposed to be a supernatural being in this movie?
Jay said we could talk about elements because he's not actually a supernatural being for
He
the
goes
first
to hell and comes.
four
Yeah.
movies.
He lives in
how
outer
about this?
space.
But it's
Electricity brings him back to life.
oh god, that's 5.
You know what I saw though? I
but-
saw somebody said that Halloween H2O is the best sequel, and they should have ended
That's
it there.
I hate H2O.
I don't really
I
want to
gotta
spend
be
our
honest.
time comparing necessarily to other sequels. I just want to talk about this film
Yeah, I know.
itself because of what they're trying to do. And while we may not agree with some of the choices, the problem here is that there's almost no characters that you like. And what I wanted to ask you guys, because I think it's central to here, they chose to bring back some older characters, which I, as a lifelong John Carpenter fan and Halloween being one of my favorite horror movies of all time, I really liked them bringing back Tommy and Lindsay, and I didn't mind them being in there. And I wish they were given more in the script, because the only thing worse than the dialogue in this movie and the decision making is everybody shooting. So to me, I thought, well, they're bringing back the kids. Maybe I had this feeling that, okay, because they were kids and now they're adults, that somehow they might survive the movie. And the fact that they both get whacked off, one pretty early on and one later, I thought, well, they're just shitting on over all these people that they bring in for a pop. And I thought they don't give a rat's ass about the audience. It's like
one of them alive.
it's like they turn into Super Cena. You know what I'm saying?
The kid is the one kid is left alive.
Tommy Doyle?
No, Kyle. The actress's name is Kyle something, and she is left alive.
Okay, I'm talking about Tommy and Lindsay primarily because they were the kids
That's
that Jamie
Lindsay.
saved.
That's Lindsay. Kyle, whatever.
Well, that's true.
He's left alive.
You are correct. You are correct. Okay, I'll recant my statement. Okay, all right. Let's talk a little bit about the kills, because that's what everybody's talking about. It's Halloween Kills, right? So the kills are completely brutal, and the one scene to me that made it completely unrealistic was not the firefighter scene. It's the interracial couple that are playing around with a drone in their house, and he's like, somebody's in our house, you know, close it up or whatever like that. Michael comes in, and he whacks the guy, and he's going after the dude's wife.
The old couple. I love that. I was like, why is he killing old people?
Well, I agree, because there's no point to it, and there's no
so
need
random.
for it. Exactly, and that's not Michael. So ignoring that, because that is again not in his character, ignoring that, I'm talking just the kill itself. He takes the light bulb, breaks it, shoves it in her neck, and it's graphic. And I will admit, they went for the gore here, and it was spectacular and it was gruesome. And if you like that, that's great. And I don't mind that. But I think less is more, and Michael's more about psychological horror. But here's the thing: after he gores her in the neck, there's supposed to be, I guess, this great cinematographic shot where you see her just kind of whimpering there while the camera's pan around, because he took the body of the husband, put it up on a table, and you hear this chunky sound. And he's going to where they have their knives up on the magnetic holder, and he's taking each one and then just chunking the guy with it, one knife after another. And my wife, who doesn't watch these movies, goes, that's not what he does, is it? I'm like, no. And that's the perfect description. That's not Michael Myers. That's not what he would do.
He was going for the right knife.
You're laughing and you're making a joke about it, and I get it, you're being cute, but the bottom line is that is not his behavior at all. So it
he's going for the right knife.
It's not funny. What do you mean the right knife?
He goes in, and the reason why he goes in, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have his weapon with him. He goes in, and as he's going through, he grabs.
You get what you're
saying.
This
is the right one, and he leaves.
But he doesn't stab somebody over repeatedly and repeatedly. And
he's trying to find.
And Halloween 2, which they riffed on some of these scenes, are, you know, he took the one butcher knife. It was only the neighbor that he had killed in the Halloween 2 that they're ignoring, I guess, in here.
Very beginning, yeah.
All right. Let me ask you guys about this.
I'll just say before you get, I just want to say this. That scene with the elder couple where the old guy is like, who cares? Call the police woman. I was like, are they making, like, just trying to make this humorous, though? Because I thought they're supposed to be, like, non-humorous. This is supposed to be, like, because I felt like, you know, scary movie, or not scary movie, but Scream, you know? That's what it felt like to me, the jokes.
Maybe, you know, which brings us to something that I want to like, and it was almost done really, really well. And I understand that they even though they shit on a lot of these characters they have. Let's talk about Deepfake Loomis. I don't know if he was CGI or an actor or a combination. I didn't know he was supposed to be in the movie.
It's
What'd you
actually
guys think of
it was
that?
Pixel. He deepfakes.
No, I
Your
I
pixel
would
art is
I
tremendous. I would love to
I
see
was
I'd love to see a pixel Dr. Loomis, by the way. But go ahead.
but I thought that was executed quite well. I thought that was actually his voice outside,
It
but
sounded weird.
really, well, that was because it was the distance. To me, it sounded like they were just using the previous track. I was confused because I thought this was an in-between scene.
Mhm.
Because at one point Loomis does go to Michael Myers' house, and I'm pretty sure it's in between. And I thought that's what this was supposed to be, but it's not. This is actually the new ending to the original film now.
Right.
And as they're going through, I did not expect Loomis to come in, and I thought it looked really impressive.
Looked really fake to me.
Really,
There's like a glow around it or something. I don't know how to describe it.
that was just the light to me coming out
Okay.
from the door, going over his face, and it's like, Officer Hastings, did Michael kill again?
It just didn't sound like him. The not the pitch of the voice, although that was a little off, but the delivery. And
He's
it's
older. If it's him, he could be this because he's older.
It's
no,
not.
he died
actually
25
him.
years ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
he's
died right after Halloween
it's-
6. Seriously, he was dying during Halloween 6.
oh, so it's not even the same actor.
No, that's my whole point. It's a deep
Oh my
fake.
gosh, why
So I
would
don't
that's
think they had
weird? Why?
Yeah, because they want to bring in Loomis and then
Ugh.
do nothing with him. Yeah, there were some really bad things too. Like the one scene I thought that was done almost pretty good, but even it was probably the most tense scene to me was I kind of like the idea of Tommy Doyle, even though he's played by Anthony Michael Hall, who I thought did a good job. I don't
That was
like
weird seeing him though. I'm used to seeing him with hair, but have his head shaped like that. That was just it just weirded me out.
I
It's
liked
a
it.
weird choice. It's a weird choice, especially because the kid who played Tommy Doyle is still alive. The last thing he acted in was in 2015, to be fair. But it was I don't know if they tried to bring him back or anything. But
Well, here's the thing. I kind of like the idea of them kind of, saying, okay, we're going to take care of business, Haddonfield, whatever, and all that. But it kind of kept going back and forth on itself because the whole, evil dies tonight, and the whole, I'm trying to really watch what I say here. The whole idea of a mob scene, I think, was absolutely ridiculous. I like Tommy and a few of his buddies going after him in the scene where they come out with the bitchy wife and doctor. And notice the woman was the doctor and the guy was the nurse.
yeah,
I'm just saying. But when they found out that Michael they thought was in the car and he went out with the baseball bat and he's got some friends and all that, that was almost kind of good. But the really good scene was when they were looking and those little shithead kids. I look. Let's be honest. There was a gay pirate couple in here, Big John and Little John. Not funny. Big John has the little knife. Little John has the big knife. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But they get punked by these really like 10-year-old kids, which in the hood, you did that stuff. I'm just saying. I went. That's probably the most unbelievable scene in this movie, except for the ending. But
okay, I was gonna say real quickly about that. You're talking about the actor that played Loomis. He was voiced by somebody else. He was voiced by Colin Mahan.
Okay.
But the actor was actually Tom Jones Jr.
Not Tom Jones.
Yeah. But I'm just saying
that would be unusual. It's just
that's why it was weird. Yeah.
These kids are not likable at all. They're little shitheads. So they played a prank. The kids in here are awful, and maybe that's a sign of the times because these kids, when we see them at night and we see the adult Lindsay, and she sees the kids on like the merry-go-round swing set, and they're being little bastard kids. Okay, I get it. I can deal with all that, but we know what's going to happen. This is part of, I think, one of the last trailers where she's like, what are you doing out here? And like, well, it's trick or treat. The guy that's playing hide and seek with us is right there behind you. And we see Michael. It's a good shot. It's well shot. And it's terrifying because the kids don't believe it. We know what's going on. But then it devolves into Nancy, I think the nurse, I loved it when she said, "This is for Dr. Loomis," but then the thing doesn't go off. Okay, we're going to shit on her, I guess. The shooting and not hitting anybody. And then, of course, the male nurse, he's got the gun, and his doctor wife says, "Do you know how to shoot that?" And she takes it from him and says, "No, it's too big for you. Let me handle it. I've shot this before." I'm like, oh, really? You're a doctor. You spent time on the range, because you look like you're 25, and a doctor, you'd be about 30. She goes out shooting, and it's like every single thing misses. This whole movie, besides the decision making being atrocious, is so completely unbelievable. Despite they try to be creative with the kills, it is infuriating me, and I am trying to keep my blood pressure down. I go, how can anybody find this enjoyable? Bored, I already heard here by Comic Book Frog. It's like, my goodness, it's like, I totally agree with that too.
No,
But the
I
thing
thought
that she's hiding and Michael's stalking her, and then he walks over the water and she lives, I kind of like that. I thought that was good, but that's like about the only cat and mouse in here.
But in that moment, whenever Michael comes up and he gets on top of the car, she's trying to shoot him through the roof, which is stupid. It is. And so she finally gets to the point where she's going to try to shoot. She wasted all her bullets. These people aren't prepared. These people aren't Lori, who have been training for years. They just meet in a bar every year on Halloween to say, "Hey, we survived," and they're fools. They really are.
And you're okay with that?
I mean, yeah, because
would the fool run in that situation?
What?
Wouldn't the fool that's untrained, like per your description, run in that situation?
I mean, Lindsay, when she's the only one left, she ultimately does, because she realizes, oh crap, even though she gets a bag and puts bricks in it, it looks like she was trying to put the candy back in it for a second.
Yeah,
but then I realized, oh, she's putting bricks in. But ultimately, she sees what happens, and she's like, nope, which is the smart thing to do, and so she runs. And Tommy, he thinks that he can just be the man that he needs to be to take on Michael Myers, which is just foolish. It's Michael Myers.
I disagree. It's a great line that he says to Lori in the hospital, who's on screen for 5 minutes total, where he says, "Look, you saved and protected us when we were kids. I'm going to do the same for you." I thought, okay, that's a good line. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say, RDV?
I was going to say, I would have rather seen Andy McDowell come back, or Malcolm McDowell come back, because he was in from 2007, 2009. He did those movies and sequels.
Yeah,
he played Loomis, and I kind of, even though he's older, it doesn't make a difference. I would still have him come back because he's just got that phenomenal voice.
For what?
For the Loomis role,
instead of doing the deepfake.
No, because Doctor is connected to the original movie.
No, this is a reboot.
He played Loomis.
It's the reboot of a reboot.
No, it's not.
Yes,
and if you watch 2018, you would know that this is connected to the first Halloween film. So you cannot change who Loomis is.
Unless John Crafter's directing.
I would disagree with you because they changed who Michael is in here.
Yeah.
And we get a bunch of nonsense through the middle of the film with this one guy that's like, help me, and he's an escaped mental patient. We see Sheriff Brackett kind of, in here, which is nice too, and he gets a great line in towards the end. But this guy basically, it's like, is that Michael? Is that Michael? They chase him up and down. And like I say, we can talk about stupid decision making, the worst gun aiming in all the history of any horror movie. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. But when you're in a hospital and the ineffective sheriff's just sitting there and everyone's going crazy, this guy somehow manages to walk through this whole thing, go up the stairs, and Lori's, I guess, daughter, who doesn't want to deal in reality whatsoever about it, goes to comfort this guy. And how does she see him? Well, she goes up to the second or third floor. She happens to see the guy's shoes sticking around the corner, and she bravely walks around the corner and reaches her hand out to where she sees the 3 fingers of this guy's hand, bloody hand, around the corner, touches them gently and says, "I won't hurt you," like it's some scared puppy. Absolutely ridiculous.
He's terrified. He's being chased by a mob.
I don't care. A guy's a mental patient. You don't comfort one because you don't know what he's mental from.
I agree with that, but at the same time, I can see why she's taking
it's stupid, especially considering what she's just been through less than a few hours earlier in the night, to go, you know what, after all I've been through with Michael, let me go ahead and cozy up to a mental patient that, you know what, came from the same place this guy did. Even more reason why that's stupid. So, that being said, She goes to protect him so the mob won't get him. And I know it's a case of mistaken identity. So the guy ends up freaking out, to your point, because he's whatever, PTSD. I don't know what. What the hell point does this have to do in the movie? How does it advance any characters? How does it advance anything in the story? It doesn't, because he jumps out and they give a really nice little shot of him slow motion suiciding and with this dumb piano music, and Carpenter's my boy, and he scored it. I'm going, what the F is this? And then of course he splats, and then they show you a really nice mangled shot of him too. What is the point? It's the point to sit there and say, well, we made Michael the monster because we're all guilty for it, kind of too. And they keep hammering this message here that it's not Michael's fault. Even Lori, it's intimated when she's having the story with the one guy that, no, it wasn't your fault, Lori. It was mine because I had a chance to shoot him and I didn't. I was trying to be human. All I could see was this was some mother's son. Like, are you effing kidding me? Now look, the whole thing with Michael being a supernatural being was this. John Carpenter originally just wanted to, when he made this movie, have him represent what evil is, a spiritual force. That's it. Not occultish, not a guy with superhuman strength, not a guy that kills a bunch of people. It was all about just evil. It was just an abstract idea. It was stalk. That's all it was. And he stalked these girls and whatever, and that's it. And of course, in the original Halloween 2 is alluded that maybe Lori and Michael might be related, and we don't have to go down there because this is retconning. But in here, they totally are taking it off of him. So even though we're supposedly duped when Lori and everybody says, oh, he's coming for me, it turns out that all he wants to do is go back to his home where the gay pirate couple live. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, so let's talk a little bit about the gay pirate couple and the house and some of these things, and before we get to the ending. What do you got, guys? Come on, give it to me.
I was ready for them to die. They were stupid. It was absolutely ridiculous, which is why when they died, it made it all the better.
It's not better in a movie when you're rooting for the bad guy or the force of evil. That's why it's horrible.
When we watched the first Halloween, these kids are atrocious. They're all disgusting. They are unbelievable. They are really...
Halloween, do you mean 2018 or do you mean...
No, I mean the original.
Well,
all of Lori's friends are horrible people. When they die, I'm like...
They're average teenagers.
No, so when these fools got you feel a little bad for them because
you don't. You laughed and you thought the kills were great. That's what you said you liked about this film.
I thought the kills were great. Yeah, they were. But at the same time, you feel bad for the one, what's his name, Little John, because he actually doesn't seem like the other guy. The Big John is totally atrocious. I was ready for him to be off the screen, and.
I just want to know, how does Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie Strode, who is a PTS shut-in, how does she have a kid?
They loosely try to mention that when she's having that conversation in there about meeting somebody at the bar and all that, and I think they left that in there loosely just to have some open plot line for the third film.
She tried to push,
and it works. They're not trying, the writers. That's the point.
In 2018, the whole thing is that she tried to move on, but she couldn't. She did have a kid, but that's why she's not with her husband anymore.
But I do agree with Rob, though. The whole mob thing was done because they split up. Why would you going to go, oh, let's go there, but let's split up and go after Michael Myers? No, if you're a mob there, he can't kill you all at once.
That's the mob was in the hospital because Tommy got them riled up, thinking that Michael Myers came into the hospital. Let's go get him, and it was ridiculous. It was stupid of them to do, and they recognized that they let their fear get the better of them rather than tracking down actual Michael Myers.
Yeah. That was the message you wanted to get. So let's talk about the ending. It turns out that the happy pirate gay couple. They live in the Myers house, and it's all completely updated and modernized and everything else there too. And we see them because the one guy's making the cheese plate while the other guy's smoking some weed, and it's like, okay, they're chilling out doing their thing on Halloween night or whatever. Okay, I don't know that we're supposed to like them. Maybe they're supposed to be funny. They're not, so it doesn't really work. But again, when the guy hears the knock at the back door, doesn't see anybody, the guy goes to the front door, the other one, and then he goes, hey, did you lock the back door? And then he goes and he sees the blood stain, and he's like, "There's somebody in our house, and it's not a kid." Okay, let's leave. Okay, they don't leave. I'm still mad about that. What does the one guy do? He picks up the friggin' paring knife from the cheese plate. Okay, so you guys think that there's an adult in there. You know about what house you're in, because that's what you used to scare the kids with. You know what night it is. And you both decide to split up and walk around, one of you carrying a paring knife that wouldn't kill an 80-year-old grandma. It is. I don't. When somebody makes a movie where you know it's going to be stupid and dumb kills, and that's what you root for, those are called Friday the 13th movies, and we don't care because they're giving you what you expect, and that's it. We expect a level of dumbness and stupidity that has nothing to do with the original. In here, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then it turns out that we're told, well, Michael didn't really want you at all, Jamie. He just wanted to go home. What the fuck? Are you serious, bro? The three of you to write this crap? This is absolutely ridiculous. So
he gets out in 2018, and he was led to, Jamie, by the not Dr. Loomis.
Well,
and
I understand. And that angle I didn't like at all in that film, so I'm not even trying to go there right now because I suspect something's going to tie in with the last film. But here's the thing for the ending. It gets to where the boyfriend, who wasn't getting the action from Lori's daughter, tries to hook up with another one. So, you know, maybe it's a classic case of guilt. He's like, I want to help out any way I can. He gets brutally killed. And of course, Jamie's daughter, who actually has some agency and tries to do something about it, falls downstairs. I don't know if she breaks her hip or her leg or twists her ankle or whatever. But then in a proverbial nick of time, because the happy pirate gay couple had really nice Halloween decorations outside
Big
there,
John
including
and
a
Little
guy
John?
with a pitchfork. Yeah, Big John, Little John. There's a pitchfork, which was in a Halloween movie, and I think in several Friday the 13th movies. But her mom just happens to show up in the proverbial nick of time, and she's like, "Do it, come get me." Her mom shows up, stabs him, and then takes the mask off. And Michael all of a sudden wants to go chase after the mask. What the?
The thing is that
in 2018, he was trying to get the mask.
Yeah,
and then he kills the podcasters, but he gets the mask, puts it on. He kills those podcasters. In this, whenever we saw after the mob event that got the other mental patient, to kill himself, she talks to Tommy saying that wasn't Michael, and they realize where he's heading because at that moment they realize because Sheriff Hastings tells them Michael wasn't coming for you, he was led there. And then she's like, okay, well, Tommy says, I know what it is, what do you need? And she says, I need a car. And he says, I've got that. So it wasn't the nick of time that she just suddenly shows up. It's set up beforehand.
No,
I don't know. It was just dumb because Allison said it when she said to Michael, "Come give me a mother ever," But it was the fact that she said that after it was already well established that he doesn't care about the Strodes or anyone else.
Right. I mean, that's the point. And then what does he do? He walks around all those buildings like it's catnip. And then here's the thing. I will admit this at the end. I did not like the firefighter scene, even though it almost looked cool. It was shot really horribly, especially the guy. And there's a lot of editing in here that I don't care about COVID. I don't care if you guys were shut down for 6 months. There's no excuse to put out a choppy product because the fight scenes, even though they ninja style it, we can argue that, they weren't very clear, even though I think the idea of some shots were there. Because here, I really did like the idea of when he gets around the corner, you've got that small little Tommy mob, and they have all got stuff. Even though only one guy's got a gun, I don't believe that. I think more people in Haddonfield would have one. I like how they all go to go kick the shit out of him. And you know what's cool? They beat his ass down. And I thought, wow, this is a really great ending. I wonder what they're going to do for third film. And then I thought, despite how much I hate this film up to this point and how stupid it is and how we don't care for any of the characters and how dumb it is and all the negative things about it, even the music score, there's chunks that were completely empty and some of it was good. Very few of them matched up to the aggressive kills and stuff that really had a punch. When he got up and then massacred everybody else ninja style, I just, no, you're done. Rest in peace.
No.
I thought it was kind of weird though. the camera, the GoPro cameras inside the helmets of the firefighters when when you see Michael Myers coming towards them, and then like, oh, here comes it in towards him. Like, that's weird. That's the seeing it in any horror movies as far as now, because
It's cool looking though. It
is
done
cool
well.
looking, but it was weird because of like I'm not used to that. It's like a lot of the horror movies that I've watched are from the 80s and stuff. So see the newer stuff like this, it's like they're really adding stuff in that's saying, oh, hey, let's get a GoPro cam for everything. It's like, I guess. I mean,
the end.
That's more like a video game.
When he gets beat down to the end, and
He never gets
allows
beaten down.
himself to just stay like that.
You can't keep Michael down.
You can't keep Michael down. Yes. So whenever Karen, her name is actually Karen.
I know. I laughed
Might be
at
why
that.
she's so unlikable. But whenever she leaves, after a moment, they take their rest because he was stabbed right there. He grabs the knife and he takes them all down, and they're all trying to attack him, but he's
Ninja
able
style,
to overpower them
one at a time, in slow-mo.
Wasn't that weird though? That was like
with dynamic shots.
that was like a Chuck Norris
above.
fight. You saw them coming at one at a time. I was like, what is this crap?
No, because when Chuck Norris would kick the guy, it would be over, right?
But don't you remember how they all wait though? Whenever you watch those, whenever you watch any martial art movies, they always wait one at a time instead of attacking all at once.
I know that. Look, and it's stupid. And here's the thing: we now know with what they're doing here at the end, no matter anything up to this point, that he's supernatural. He's not human. We can all agree on that. Yes. So
didn't his fingers get blown off in the first
they
movie?
did in the first movie, and so that's why when he was reaching for the knife here at the end, you only saw him. I mean, that's nice continuity, but the ending still sucks because, of course, Tommy apparently dies because it looks like he gets gored.
No, he gets brutalized.
The baseball bat.
Well,
yeah,
exactly. And I'm like, okay, kill Tommy off, I guess, and whatever. I guess Lindsay's going to save the day because women, whatever. But no. This guy contradicted himself, the writers in this film, with what Michael was going to be. Well, he doesn't care about Larry Kells, about the house. Well, then why is he chasing the Strodes? Okay, is there some ulterior motive with the fake Dr. Loomis guy that we didn't really get anything of in this film? Maybe. Maybe it's like Halloween 6, where what they were trying to do is breed Michael Myers so they can have a legacy of evil and have this old Thorn occult crap, whatever. That's kind of weird, especially with the director's cut floating around out there. Very weird movie. That was the one with Paul Rudd that RDV mentioned. Paul Rudd's first movie, by the way, which actually was a darker film than this one, despite it being not too good.
Like I said, I love the fact that he beat him with a pipe and then he took the beating, but then he went to look for him. He's gone. Yes. To me, that was more believable than he getting shot like 6 or 7 times in the chest, and then he's still moving around. So, it's like,
why do we care about him being? Why do we care about him being a spiritual being here at the end? That makes it no longer a slasher film, does it?
Well, remember they said the whole thing was they tried in the first movie. They said like, oh, he's just a mental patient, and the doctor let him out because he wanted to study him in the field how he kills.
They are not saying that he's supernatural. They're saying
I'm saying we are because of all the abuse he took, especially here at the end. You don't think he's supernatural at this point?
No, they don't consider him supernatural.
The only people
supposed to be as a viewer, do you think he's supposed to be supernatural at this point?
Do I think he's like Jason, where electricity strikes and he comes back to life as this gruesome monster thing? No, I don't.
Okay.
Is he like
stabbed in the back with a butcher knife? How many beatings did he take? You got the pitchfork to the back as well. He gets up from all that, then kills everybody there. You're telling me you don't think he's supposed to be anything more than human in this ending scene?
Yeah.
The whole point is that he's more than human based on the fact that he has a bloodlust that goes forward.
I'm not asking about his reasons why.
No,
I'm asking about what he is. He's not a man right now.
No, they describe in this movie, this film, describe him as
the embodiment of evil. That's what everybody describes him as.
No, he's described as a 6-year-old boy with the strength of a man and the mind of an animal.
And
that's what they describe him.
Predator. Don't forget that.
He's not a 6-year-old boy.
Butcher knife out of nowhere.
When he was 6 years old, he took a knife and he just stabbed his sister, and then he was locked up. Then we go through Loomis, who describes him as an embodiment of evil, and he tries to kill Michael, but ultimately he does not. And Michael goes on. They catch him. He gets out years later, and it's what he was in Halloween 1. It's the same thing. And
I just feels like what they're trying to say. He's not supernatural, but he's wiredly differently as far as though, so he doesn't feel the pain. Kind of like in Kick-Ass. Remember, he couldn't feel the pain now when he got hit, but he still bled, still got injured though. It just feels like this movie is like, oh, we're gonna do that, but he's wired differently, mental.
Here's
But
the thing.
it doesn't take any physical damage, except for his fingers
put
blow
all
off.
that off to the side, supernatural or human. The fact that he killed off most of the characters, whatever. I don't like most of them, so it's not
Is he
it's
a
not
man or a
memorable, but
monster?
it's horrible. Yeah, but the point is now when you go into the third film, you have one of two choices. You either one have to sit there and say, maybe we overdid it. Maybe we're just going to make it what everybody thinks Halloween should be, and that's Laurie versus Michael, and that's it. We don't know, okay? And then they don't do a lot of killing, all right? Because maybe they're going to make it more just about them and their relationship, because that is essence what the movie was supposed to be about, all of them. So you can strip that all away, and that would be it. Or you do the other track, which the people that like this movie, the only thing that I've seen in all the social media and reviews and videos that I've saw of people is the same thing. The kills are creative. Big effing deal. So that means you have to outdo yourself here, and instead of the less is more approach, which is what Carpenter did in the first movie, and which the more, in my opinion, successful, realistic, good horror movies do, now it's like, okay, now we have to outdo what was done in this film. And I understand that you might want to say, hey, let's make this film show Michael's real brutal side and everything else there too. What's the point in doing it? How does it affect the story? How does it make us, feel if there's no characters that we don't like? Because Laurie, let's be honest, is only on screen for 5-10 minutes tops.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole movie read like an excuse movie to say it's not Michael's fault. They say several times, not Loomis, but the other guy, well, it's not your fault that, whatever, because I stopped Loomis from shooting him. It's not your fault, Laurie. He wasn't really after you. It's like, well, it's not your fault. It's the crowd's fault. Well, it's all our fault because, it's a mob mentality. And they say several times the system failed.
It just felt to me like this movie was supposed to be like, they want to focus on how scary he is and how many kills he does and stuff. As far as, because remember, it's a one giant story, but broke up into three plots. Three separate.
It's a trilogy.
Yeah,
yes.
it's a trilogy. Yeah. So the first one was more about heavy on Laurie and stuff, where this one's more on Michael. And then, you're gonna have Laurie versus Michael towards the end. That's what it seems like the formula they're going for.
Laurie is going to.
But here's my guess, though, for the end of the third movie, Michael's gonna survive. He's not gonna die.
I don't know.
How can he die?
I don't know.
That's exactly because you can't kill off because that's why he came back for 6 freaking movies. If you kill off Michael Myers, how do you bring him back? You can't unless you say he's supernatural.
What?
You can just reboot it again,
multiple reboots. That's
I don't know how it's going to end. I know
it's like if I kill Pixel the first movie, all of a sudden he's back in the third movie. I never died, even though I took a gunshot to the head. it's like. I don't.
The only character I thought that had merit in here, I didn't mind the performance there by Anthony Michael Hall. I know a lot of people don't like the character. I didn't mind them. Lindsay wasn't bad, but honestly, the only one that I thought it would have been interesting if they actually gave her something to do rather than just sort of be there for 2 films. That was Laurie's granddaughter, the one there that fell down the stairs and all that too. She had a little bit of spunk to her. She's one that you can go, even though she's a young teenager, maybe young 20-something, you could almost get behind. The movie does nothing to make you emotionally invested in any of the characters, even some of the ones that they kill off, which is supposed to have an impact, right? So to me, it's like they're shitting on anybody that's a fan of the movies, or even if you're not, you don't know it, and you're watching this, it's like, well, who can I root for? And it's always a bad sign when you root for going, oh, the kills are cool. Never
it's not just that. Kills do have to be cool. But no Laurie's granddaughter in this movie, she tries to go after. And in the first, we have the emotional connection. We feel bad for her because of her dumb boyfriend, her idiotic boyfriend.
Why is an idiotic boyfriend?
Well, I mean, what he did.
What did he do?
2 hours ago.
What did he do?
He was cheating on her right then and there.
How?
At the party? Kissing another girl?
Okay, because she decided she didn't want to put out, so the man said, you know what, this woman will. Is that really cheating? Are they married? She's
God.
butthurt over the fact that she wanted to control that,
What
and
do
that's
you mean?
it.
They were at a party. They were directly at a party. So
Right.
there's no question on putting out. They aren't anywhere private.
Were
What
they
are you going to
dating?
do?
Were
They're
they dating?
teenagers. Ladies' privacy means nothing.
I mean, were they dating or are they actually like going steady?
They were going steady. And there's
I don't
no
believe you know
mention
that.
of whether or not they sleep together or not.
There's no, well, and
Well,
even
if
more
she's
reason
not-
for him to find somebody at a party.
Yeah.
And so he just ultimately comes off as an asshole. That's what
Why?
he does.
Because he's looking for some action and somebody gives it to him. Next, please.
Oh.
I mean, that's the reality of it, right?
Sometimes,
Rob,
Rob, talking to you
you're-
about women, I don't know.
Rob, you're so 1980s sexist. No,
Well, look, the point here is I know what you're saying, but
Yeah.
it's basically we know the guy was going to die because he
Everyone
was
dies.
faithful to her.
there's no one.
Well, no, only she can because she hasn't had sex, right? Isn't that the old rule?
Yep,
What?
the virgins survive. It's always the people who have sex. That's always the rules in all the slasher movies.
Right.
If you have sex or if you're mean or any of that stuff, you die.
There's
you're the nice,
no
innocent
mention
person-
of that in the 2018 film. I'm
'Cause it's what-
repeating that again
I-
because they aren't talking about that. Ultimately, they seem to have a decent relationship. At
Not
the
good
party
enough where
he gets
she's gonna be
flirted at,
attracted to
first
him.
thing he does is he's kissing the girl. And it could have been a misunderstanding, but
Bro,
you
it's-
feel bad for her. She runs and she has the other dumb friend who tries to make a move on her. And when he dies,
That was
we get a mention
2018.
of him
It's now
before.
2021. If she wasn't putting out since 2018, he's gonna leave.
Sorry. No. Look, let's finish up with this, okay? Obviously, Pixar, you don't want to find anything I think of merit in this film. I think it's completely unwatchable. I think it's one of the worst. It might just be above the what was it, the 2002 or 2003 one? I forget who the rappers in
Halloween
there.
8. Wow, that's no. God.
No, that one with what's his face? It's not Ludacris. Whatever the guy's name is. I
Halloween
Busta
8.
Rhymes. Is that it?
Halloween 8.
Busta Rhymes. Might
Yeah.
have been Busta Rhymes.
I've
That's
seen
That's
all of
probably
these
the worst.
films.
This
That's
is just
Halloween
above
8.
that. No,
That is wrong.
this film has nothing redeeming about it. There's nothing good, unfortunately. Look, it's going to do well because the name Michael's attached to it, and regardless of the current situation with COVID and movies being released simultaneously or just for a short window, it's doing well. It's not a big budget movie. I do appreciate the fact that you can have people today with the technology spend 10, 20 million on a movie and make it look like $100 million or whatever. Obviously, we'll see a third one. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw another reboot 5, 10 years from now. Michael's never going to go away. He's not just a part of my generation back when it was a real film versus now when the reboot. I described, I believe, the reboot with when we discussed a few years ago as a good movie with some great scenes in there that I thought they actually put some thought and effort to it. And I felt in here it was just a complete mess. And the writing really lets everything down. So no matter how slick it can look or how creative we might get in some of the scenes in terms of the ideas, whether it's the kills or the setup or the stalking or the messages, when you have three people to write a script like this, that's always a bad scene to me. And to me, I don't see any redeeming way this third movie is going to be any good. It might be better than this movie, but that's, I could have monkeys fling turds at a wall and come up with a better.
I will say this though. There's two ways to watch this. You can watch this as a fan of Michael Myers and get pissed off, or you can just watch it as a person who just wants to watch her kills.
I agree with you.
This movie, I feel, is it's a fair sequel to the previous movie, but it heavily relies on you seeing the previous movie. If you didn't, you're going to totally falter off. And I've seen the previous movie recently, and so going right after one and the other, it fits fine, but it is a bridge. If you don't like the bridge, if you don't like the journey between the start and the finish, then that's all there is to it.
The thing is, though, you're supposed to have a good chunk in the middle. That's your meat potatoes there. The ending and the beginning are supposed to be like, setting up the story, and then its conclusion there. You have the climax at the end.
Where have you ever heard that? Because it's always the sequel is the worst. Everybody considers that, and I don't consider this the worst.
Agree. And this was the worst. The sequel. I'm just saying it's supposed. The whole point of the movie is you're supposed to have the good stuff. It shouldn't. If you're just going to put on a movie as a bridge, then you might as well just not do a trilogy then, because why? How do you expect to make money if this like, oh, this is a weak crap? So then the fact it's also on Peacock though shows they don't have faith in it just being in the theater.
No, it's because Universal wants to make revenue on Peacock.
Because they know people aren't going to go out to see it in the theater because of COVID and stuff. And that's the thing. It's like
it's already making money.
So why is it on Peacock then? Why is it on Peacock?
That's a business thing.
Everybody does. HBO is doing it.
I understand that because they don't have no faith that people are going to go watch movies in the theater.
You're wrong.
I disagree.
It made the highest
of streaming is going to be instant on demand.
In which I hate that because the whole thing is going to the theater. That's like it's theaters kill the drive-ins, and now streaming's killing the theaters.
Nobody really said anything there's a few groans. That was it. People were not happy with this film. And I know it's getting a lot of press online. Some people said, I don't know why all the haters loved it, but it seems to be a very binary film. Either people loved it or they hated it.
Yeah, it's really
and I am completely in the hate category. So I think the worst movie I've seen this year. So we'll see how it measures up when the next film comes out. We'll compare it to some other things there too. But yeah, we're just trying to talk about how we feel about it and scenes that we see and really say it. So Pixel, I guess I'm surprised that you really kind of liked it so much. Really, I kind of didn't think that you would.
So to recap, for 15 minutes, Pixel loves it. I thought it was meh, and Rob just really hated it.
Yeah, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys, for RDV and for Professor Pixel, I'd like to thank you guys for showing up tonight. I know Halloween's a movie. We didn't really want to try to say too much of the spoilers, even though we did, but who cares? You're going to watch it anyway. And if not, you're not going to either way. But the fact that we can argue about it and have a good time, I think is pretty neat, because that's one thing this movie definitely you can do is you can watch it if you're a passionate fan of the Halloween movies, or you're a casual fan like a lot of people are. That's cool too. The worst thing you can have with movies is that nobody talks about it at all. Like nobody's doing with James Bond anymore, because the initial hate's gone. We saw James Bond dying 10 years ago. So now it's just been a year or two for that we can play taps when the third Halloween movie comes out. Or maybe maybe I'll be positive and say the third one will just be a resounding success, and they learn from their mistakes, and they all want to do a whole group effort to move forward and make it an all-inclusive film that everybody can enjoy, from fans of old to fans of new. And I don't believe it, but you know what? When it comes out, we'll deal with it. But the one thing is this movie was definitely extreme. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. For RDV Professor Pixel, good night. Stay extreme.